All right. Final domino has fallen in the offseason for the NBA. And let's talk about it. Hey, everyone who's watching, thanks for joining me today. We're talking about Lauri Markkanen being traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 3-team deal with Portland and with, obviously, the Chicago Bulls. So let's go in and talk about it a little bit here. First, before we get started, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to have a lot more stuff coming out here soon. Now that this Markkanen deal is kind of taken care of, I believe that I'll kind of start breaking down off seasons a little bit more. I might do it in a little bit different of a fashion to maybe try to grow the channel to a little bit more, to get more people into the channel, I should say. So maybe making YouTube shorts might be a thing. We'll see. We'll probably work on that next week. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. But yeah, like the video, comment. Let me know how you feel about the Lauri Markkanen trade here. And for now, let's talk about it here. So let's take a look here. So Cleveland is getting Lauri Markkanen from Chicago. Obviously, it's a 4-year, $64 million deal. I'm going to pull out my phone and look at this. 67 over 4 years. It's about $17 million annually. So pretty good. I think that's maybe a little too high, but nothing that I'm like super concerned about. I feel like it's a pretty solid deal. Now, his team that he's going to is a little weird because I don't understand why Markkanen would want to go to Cleveland. Their front court is already kind of backed up, but let's expand the trade and let's talk about it in full here, and kind of go from there. Let's see here. Here we go. So Woj is tweeting out that and saying that Cleveland gets Lauri Markkanen, and in this 3-team deal with Chicago and Portland is getting Larry Nance. So Nance is no longer a part of the rotation in Cleveland, which is another front court presence for Cleveland that Markkanen doesn't have to worry about, although they're still kind of packed there anyway. So Portland gets Larry Nance, I think a solid center behind Enes Kanter. And then the Bulls also will get Derrick Jones Jr., a Portland lottery protected pick, future first, and the Cavaliers, a future Cavaliers second rounder. So the Cavs basically give up Larry Nance and a second rounder for Lauri Markkanen. I don't know exactly what their long-term plan was for Nance. I think that Nance is a solid player, but I think Markkanen provides more upside. Again, I don't know what his upside is in Cleveland because I just don't know what his role is exactly. So let's talk a little bit about that with Cleveland. Cleveland now has Kevin Love, Evan Mobley, who they just drafted, and Jared Allen, who they just signed an extension. So I'm looking at their kind of roster right here, and let's pull it up here for everybody to see. And I kind of just wonder what the fit is. Like, so there's 4 dudes right there. Markkanen, you have Larry Nance, you have Evan Mobley, and you have Jared Allen. So all 4 of those dudes are going to be a part of the rotation. I think we all know that it's probably Kevin Love who's taking a way lesser role. Like, I don't even know if Kevin Love breaks 25 minutes of action because, again, they have these 3 young dudes that are going to be their kind of future. And I'm just interested to see how, like, are they just not going to play Love? Is Kevin Love going to get the Andre Drummond treatment and maybe play a couple games at the beginning of the season that showcases that maybe, yeah, he's healthy, which I don't think he is, but, will they showcase him a little bit at the beginning of the season and then just say, we're going to try to trade you or buy you out like they did with Andre Drummond last year? I just don't understand it exactly for Cleveland. It just seems to me that not like, and Markkanen also, whenever these sign and trades happen, the players decide where they want to go. It's not just a play where they're going to, okay, well, I'm going to sign my contract here with Chicago and then get traded to whatever team. Like, I just don't have a choice. Markkanen decides to go to Cleveland. And I wonder what his representation is like selling him on that idea, because I just don't feel like this is a move for Markkanen to have the most success in. And my music turned off, of course. So basically, I just wonder, again, where's the fit? Like, who's getting, because every player, it adds up to 240 minutes you can play players, right? That's just the math of it. The total team plays 240 minutes because of 48 minutes is played in the basketball game. So who's taking a step back? Love? But even then, like, are you playing Jared Allen 30 minutes and then Markkanen will play maybe 30, the same 30 minutes, but then Mobley, you want to have him play a little bit and him 30 minutes? That's 60 minutes just in those front court players. So does Markkanen kind of bounce back and forth between being the 4 and the 5? Because that's the same thing that Mobley's going to be doing as well. So I don't really get that at all. That doesn't really make much sense to me. And this is one of the reasons why I'm kind of just like, oh, I don't know why Cleveland made this move. I can understand that it's a young player that you feel like can be something in the NBA, but I don't know what his fit is with this particular team as currently constructed, unless they have a trade that they want to make with Jared Allen, because he's probably the guy that a trade would happen with. But even then, they signed him to an extension, so I don't know. Let's talk about Portland, or let's talk about Chicago. So Chicago obviously loses Markkanen. I saw something on social media that was like saying about how like, oh, Chicago is very happy with the fact that Lauri Markkanen's gone. And it's just, I kind of just feel like the dude was never put in a position to win ever throughout his career. Let's look it up. I think it was his rookie season where he was like pretty solid. Like, let's take a look at his numbers just here. So his rookie season, he averages 15 points a game, which I think, did that lead him to all like rookie team in his first year? Yeah, 2017-18 all rookie. I don't know if that was a first team or a second team, but we'll see. So 15 points, 8 rebounds in 30 minutes of action. And then the next season, he takes another step forward and becomes a dude who's scoring 19 points a game, 9 rebounds, 32 minutes a game. His field goal percentage isn't the greatest, but his three-point shooting is pretty solid at 36%. Maybe you want it to eke up a little high, kind of move up a little bit more. But effective field goal percentage this last season was great. But then you look at 2019 through 20, he dipped. He dipped because he was playing a little bit less minutes, and I don't know exactly if Jim Boylen knew what he was doing with Markkanen and that team in general. So I kind of look at it like, why are Bulls fans like so excited that Markkanen's leaving? Now, with Vucevic there, with DeRozan and Lonzo Ball there, obviously it's probably best for him to move on because he's not going to get the touches that he would. Maybe that he gets in Cleveland. Even Cleveland, I don't know if he's getting a whole lot of touches. But this was a dude who had a arc of a career that was going somewhere, and he's only going to be 24 years old going into this season. So I'm kind of shocked why Bulls fans were like, oh yeah, like we're happy that Markkanen's gone. It's like, he had 3 coaches. I think he's had a different coach in all of his years in the NBA. I think maybe there was one coach that stayed for 2 seasons, but like, you don't know how much that screws up a player. So I think Markkanen has some future in the NBA, but I don't know if it's in Cleveland. So Cleveland also gets, in the trade, they also get, Chicago in the trade also gets Derrick Jones Jr. from Portland, who's the 3rd team in the trade. And Derrick Jones is a interesting dude because they didn't play him a whole lot during the playoffs, but they did sign him to this contract. I think it was last summer or the summer before. Brought him in from Miami, and he's been a solid defensive player, and I was a little shocked that Portland didn't want to play him. He is an offensive liability, but he wasn't a dude that could be able to, I mean, he was a dude that was able to play on defense on the perimeter, man. So he, I think, maybe has a little bit of a role. He doesn't play. I think he plays more of the 3 than he does the 2. I'm gonna look that up actually right now. Derek, of course, Derek Jones Jr. Yeah, I think he's a dude who can play on the wing. Yeah, it says his position's a small forward. You can't see because of that, but let's just look at his numbers here. Play by play. Yeah, he's playing the 3 more than what he was any other position. So Jones is going to come in and play the 3. He has a wingspan. He plays defense. I think he's pretty solid there. It's just that he's not really an offensive player at all. But can the Bulls just throw him in there and have him be a defensive dude on the perimeter to be a pest to other players that they're going to be playing in the Eastern Conference? Because I don't think the Bulls are that great on defense as currently constructed. I think Lonzo plays good defense. I think Caruso plays good defense. I think Patrick Williams can play good defense, but he's just so young. So having Derek Jones there to back him up, I think is a pretty good option. And I don't think his contract is too crazy. Let's take a look at that actually. Derek Jones Jr. is making $9 million this upcoming season. So, you know, nothing crazy. And so Chicago gets Derek Jones, which is, I think, a pretty solid pickup. Nobody that I'm, going crazy over, but a guy who's going to probably play some good minutes in their rotation this upcoming season. And then the Bulls are also getting a lottery protected first rounder from Portland. And then a future Cavs second round pick. So we'll skip the Cavs second round pick, although it is nice to have. Portland gets a future lottery protected pick. So that basically is meaning that if Portland were ever to make the playoffs, now if they make the playoffs this upcoming season, I think it conveys then. Woj had a tweet on that here. Let's take a look. Yeah, here it is. Blazers pick is protected 1 through 14 through 2028. If it becomes Portland's 2028 second round pick if not conveyed before then. So basically, if Portland doesn't make the playoffs, or does make the playoffs within the next 7 years, like that pick will go to Chicago. So hopefully that's this next year if you're a Blazers fan, but you never know. So let's look really quickly at that first tweet. Portland also gets Lauri Nance Jr. So Lauri Nance Jr. is headed towards the Portland Trailblazers. I think I'm just trying to think of their rotation off the top of my head. Portland has Nurkic. They also brought in Cody Zeller in free agency as well, and then they have they also had Greg Brown that they traded for in the draft. So I'm kind of wondering exactly what is what's Nance's role. I mean, I guess he is a little bit better than Zeller, so he'll probably get those 4 and 5 minutes and get time there. So interesting pickup for Portland. I think it's a good pickup, but again, how much better is Portland? I know they kind of just jumped in on this trade, but they're basically saying we'll trade a mid-round first pick of the future to get Lauri Nance. How is that? I don't know if that's the greatest idea, because Portland just doesn't have, I feel like, picks to like, why, if this whole Damian Lillard situation is coming up and you could potentially be moving off of him, why would you want to move these future picks? They own all of their picks from here on out, but now probably next year's pick, if again the Blazers make the playoffs, that pick will go to Chicago. And so I don't know. I don't get the idea behind that. And just for Lauri Nance, who, again, Lauri Nance is a solid player, but he has 2 seasons left on his contract. I don't know exactly if he's the greatest of dudes to have on the roster. When you have Nurkic, you probably need to extend Nurkic if you can. Maybe this is a move where they're saying we don't think we're going to be able to extend use of Nurkic, because Nurkic has talked about how his free agency is going to depend on Damian Lillard. So maybe this is a move where it's like, look, Nurkic may be on his way out. We need at least an option at center for the future. And by future, I mean like 2 seasons. And so that's why we're bringing in Nance in, because we don't know if Nurkic is out. So depends. I don't know. That'll be interesting. Portland's in a mess already. I don't know. I understand why you pay your 3 best players the top salaries on the team. The only issue is that 2 of your 3 best players aren't even dudes who were all-star caliber. I know McCollum is. It's just hard for him to be an all-star there in the West, but he still hasn't. I think McCollum and Jamal Murray are 2 guys that we talk a lot about, but they're not even all-stars. And, you know, I don't understand why the hype on them is so big. I think it's mostly just because they're scorers. Neither are really great defenders. So, yeah, I'll tell you this. This is a really confusing trade for me personally. I think it's interesting for all teams. Like, again, Portland is giving up a mid-round pick just to land Larry Nance. Does that come because they think Nurkic is gone? Maybe. I don't know. Cleveland, they get Lauri Markkanen, and it's a deal where they get it's a deal where Markkanen goes and they bring in Derrick Jones Jr. Or sorry, we're talking about Cleveland now. Cleveland goes, they get Lauri Markkanen, and then they also let go of Larry Nance. But I don't understand the rotation of the Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Lauri Markkanen. I don't know how that's working out for the Cavaliers. And they also have the Kevin Love situation as well. So I don't really understand what's going on there. And then Chicago, I think Chicago probably makes out with the best of this. Like, again, when you do a sign and trade, you are getting some value back as opposed to just having a player leave for nothing. So that's always good for them to get something back. But they get a middle first-round pick within the next couple of years, I hope. If you're a Blazers fan, you want them to make the playoffs, but obviously that you're going to sacrifice a draft pick when you do that. So they get a mid-round pick. They also get the second from Cleveland, which is just nice to have. And then they also get Derrick Jones Jr., who helps on the perimeter with some defense. Is his contract a little too high? Maybe a little high for my personal comfort level, but I do really think that the Bulls kind of walk away with this with the best situation. So yeah, that's just my initial thoughts. Thank you for watching the video. We'll be doing a little bit more of some off-season grades, I think, is what's coming next. And we'll get started on that and kind of go from there. But thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next video. And yeah, subscribe to the channel.